Guys, it's Trish back with another video. Today we're going to make a really cute elastic stretch bracelet. We're going to use these gorgeous ice and snow dress it up buttons. We're also going to use this Snowfall strand from Jessie James Beads. We're going to use some 8/0 seed beads in your choice of color. I have some white ones that I had gotten off of Jessie James Beads. And then some elasticity, which Jessie James Beads also carries. So what I have done here, I cut my strand and I've placed in the buttons that I want to use in between, laid out my pattern. I've also gotten some of those 8/0 seed beads out. And now all we need to do is open up our elasticity. This is a satin silver, which is super nice for this kind of project. And I'm going to leave it on the roll, and I'm just going to give this a real good stretch before I start feeding on my beads. Okay. So I'm going to start at this end, and I'm going to start putting on my beads. Now there are needles you can get to string on your beads onto your elasticity, but usually I find that it's pretty easy just to use the elasticity end. So I'm just feeding on my beads, and we're going to pick up these beautiful spacers and put those on. And by leaving your string attached to your roll, you don't have to worry about guesstimating how much you're going to need, or you do not have to worry about using a bead stop on the end of it. And I'm just still feeding on these beautiful spacers here. You don't have to worry about using a bead stop on the end of it, which is really nice. So we're just getting our little pattern there. And we're going to add this gorgeous boho bead and the spacers on the other side. And then we're going to add a pearl and then a button. So let's put these spacers on. I'm going to make sure that this is in your view. Scoot that just a bit. Okay. So now that we have those on, my seed beads are kind of rolling around. I'm just going to push them up here out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to add my pearl. Okay. And then I'm going to add, let's see, I want to see how much space behind this there is. So I'm probably going to add 2 to 3 seed beads on either side of the button. And then what this does, it secures the button in place, so it's not flipping around as much on your bracelet. Okay, so I just fed on 2 of those 8/0s, and I'm going to try that, put my button on and see if that's going to be enough. I'm probably going to have to do 3, but all I'm going to do is take those seed beads and kind of hold them against my piece and see. Actually, 2 is going to do it for us, so we'll do 2 more. And don't worry if they go through your buttonhole, it'll still work, or under your through your shank of your button. Okay, 2 more on the other side there, so you're seeing that's what I have. Because when the bracelet is tied, you're going to have enough tension there that it's going to hold it still. Okay. So then I'm going to add another bead. And then I'm going to add, see, let's look at this shank. I'm probably going to need 3 on either side of that one. And then we'll feed on our center button here, right through the shank. And I want to kind of take a look here and see what I got. Okay, guys, so now I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing that I want to add seed beads on either side of this. I want to do 3 and 3 because I can see as I'm putting pressure on that, my beads are going in behind that. And I don't want my beads to go in behind that snowflake as much. So we're going to take this off. We'll go back to the deer here in a minute. And I'm going to add, we have the 2 on here. Move this up. And we're going to add 1 more, because I think that's going to put us in a better position with our snowflake. And it's trial and error, guys. As you go, you can see what you think looks nice. You may like the beads sitting behind the snowflake. I mean, they still will some, but it's going to just set it out just a little bit more. So there's 2. Oops, no. Okay. There's 2. And let's put the 3rd one on. And then we're going to feed on our next bead, just like so. It's wanting to stick out all the little holes there. There it goes. And then we're going to bring some seed beads up here so you can see. Trying to keep my surface neat, but I get a little wild here. See, and they're going to sit behind just a smidge, but not as much, okay? So now that we have our next bead on, we're going to feed on some more of our 8 seed beads, because we want to position our deer. Oops. So there's 1. 2 and 3. And our deer right through the shank. And then we're going to add 3 more. And then I'm going to look at it and see how it's setting, making sure that it's sitting nicely with not too much of the bead behind it. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the bead on the other side of it that I want. And I'm going to see how far those beads sit behind, like I said. So I'm just going to put this one on the other side. We're just going to work back now with the same pattern. Okay. Takes a minute with these beads that have multiple holes sometimes. Come on, there we go. All right, so I'm going to hold pressure on this side, and I'm going to push this all together and see. And that is perfect. Using 3 on either side is perfect. Okay. So then we're going to work our way back. So now we're going to need a snowflake on the other side of our bead, because this is the center of our bracelet. So we're going to add 3 more seed beads. Okay. Because now we know that we definitely want the 3 seed beads. We're going to pick up our snowflake and put that on through the shank. Put that elasticity through the shank of the button. And then add 3 more beads. And honestly, guys, this is the hardest part, putting your buttons on. So this is a very easy project. Anyone can certainly do. This would be something fun to do with your kids. But these buttons just elevate the piece. They're just so gorgeous. Very high-end looking, in my opinion. Okay, and we're just working our way back across with the same pattern. So I'm going to put my spacers on, my daisy spacers, and our boho bead. And what is nice with using these spacers beside a boho bead, you see how big that hole is in that boho? And sometimes you want that, but putting these spacers on the other side with a smaller hole kind of whittles that down so you don't have little beads popping inside your bohos, okay? Okay, so we're putting the other spacers on the other side. And then our next bead with these gorgeous spacers. Bead caps, not spacers, excuse me. And the beads that go in the center of those bead caps. Okay, and then our gray one. And a little silver. Okay. So let's see how we're doing here. It's got a little bit tangled, so I want to get this all straightened out. and lay it the way I want it to be. Yeah, that's going to be really cute, guys. So I want to put another bead between these two. So I want to make sure that when I tie it off, and then my knot can fit inside of it. So I'm going to work using this bead. I'm going to try to work on this and get this elasticity through it because it's a little tricky. But you want to use something that has a little bit bigger of a hole, so you can slide your knot into it. So stand by, I'll be right back once I get this in. So I've gotten our bead on, and I'm just going to trim our elasticity here so we can tie our piece off. And all we're going to do, let's give that a little stretch again, that's very important. And you're going to get your strands evened out, and you're going to do right over left, just like so. And then left over right. And you can see here, I'm holding pressure with this finger in that loop to kind of keep everything in place where I want it. I've learned this trick over the years. When I first was doing these, my bracelets were really loose because I didn't do that. So when we go to do left over right, we're going to go through twice before we pull down on the ends. And that's going to ensure that you get a really nice, snug piece. And I still have my finger in there. And I'm going to switch fingers. And as I'm getting it down closer here, I'm going to let it out and then just give it a good pull. But just not too hard, because you will snap the elasticity, especially if you're using something thinner like I am. This is the 0.5 millimeter, so it's thinner. I usually use 1 millimeter, but sometimes certain beads won't fit through that. So once you have your knot, I'm going to bring in my little protective covering to my surface, and I'm just going to take a little drop, and I'm getting my glue out here, a little drop of our GS Hypo Cement. I like to just put a tiny bit on my knot before I trim it. And you can see I'm not squeezing that. I'm not squeezing the GS Hypo. Always make sure you just warm it in your hand. And then put your cap on, which is easier said than done sometimes. Okay. And then give that just a minute or so to dry. And then you can trim your ends. Just like so. And I just leave the tiniest little bit there on the ends above the knot, so it's not right up to the knot, and then you can just move your knot right inside the bead that has the larger hole. That's why I like to do that, because then it looks really finished and really beautiful. So this is our gorgeous little reindeer ice and snow bracelet. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.